Welcome back, guys. I trust you've been safe. Now, I've always been saying that be very careful how you treat people, and that will reflect in this case. It's an ongoing case that is coming out of Nigeria in West Africa, where a young lady, I dare say she's a girl. She's less than 18 years old, allegedly, and she's a TikToker, and she's alleged to have taken the life of her ex-boyfriend and 3 other people. Yeah. Some are saying a total of 4, some are saying a total of 5 people. But her name that she uses on TikTok is Peculiar. Yeah, that is her name. She's called Peculiar on TikTok. But reports have not yet revealed her real name. Now, this girl is alleged to have successfully taken the lives of these people by means of food poisoning, to the extent that, per the rumor out there or the reports out there, she apparently prepared food for this ex-boyfriend of hers. And after they consumed the food, the unfortunate happened, because per the report, although she prepared it intentionally to give it to this ex-boyfriend of hers, this guy took the food, and without knowing the evil in the food, he invited his brother to come and dine with him, and also a friend of his brother took some, and then his ex-boyfriend's current girlfriend also took some. Yeah. So this is an ongoing case. This is the story that has come out so far, but investigations are ongoing. As at the time I was putting out this video, reports were indicating that she had been allegedly arrested by the Nigerian police. But this is how the whole thing unfolded leading up to her arrest. So this ex-boyfriend of this lady called Peculiar is called Emmanuel, allegedly. Now, Emmanuel is alleged to have broken up with Peculiar some time ago. And I don't know the circumstances under which the breakup happened. But I've always been saying this thing, that be very careful how you treat people, especially if you know you've offended them. You know, there are some people who fail to realize this advice is key, because some people think that no matter what they do to people, they determine the measure or the extent to which the person can behave or react to what they've done wrongly to the person. But if you are watching this video or listening to it, please have it at the back of your mind that once you offend somebody, you can't dictate how the person reacts. And that is where the danger usually is, because, for example, you can commit the same offense against 3 people. One person may be so offended, but he or she will just walk away and end it there. The second person may also be so offended and will just rant and walk away. The third person may also be very offended, but might decide to take it to a point you can never have imagined. That is where the danger is, especially if you, the offender, you are still escalating the offense, disrespecting the person on top of the offense. It doesn't end well usually. I'm not saying that is what's happened between Emmanuel or Peculiar. All I'm saying is, if Peculiar is guilty of what she's allegedly accused of, then it means that most likely there's a deep sentiment inside her against this alleged ex-boyfriend of hers. And for there to be such a deep sentiment, then it's likely that they didn't end on good terms. And that is where my advice becomes relevant. I believe that one of the soft skills everybody needs to learn is how to effectively de-escalate any situation and make peace, especially if you know you are the offender. It is very important, because people react differently people who love deeply also are hurt deeply. That is what is out there. So if you don't realize how you affect people in your actions and inactions, but decide to treat people anyhow, and after that want to determine how they should react, then please, I'm telling you, you are putting yourself in danger, because there are millions of people out there and you can't know how each of them will react. So what you can control is how you behave towards people, especially when you offend them, such that whatever their reaction would have been, the situation wouldn't escalate to that point for you to now find out in a very bad way. That is the best advice I can give on this video, because whatever it was that would allegedly have driven Peculiar to do what she's alleged to have done. Imagine Emmanuel was able to de-escalate that emotion and make peace with her. He may still be alive, and his brother may be alive, and the other two victims may be alive. That is the thing. But most people of today take this thing for granted. But I'm telling you, if you know this, you will know peace. If you know this, doors will open for you. If you know this, people will forgive you. So, now back to this case. Now, when the whole thing started playing out, these guys were in the same room. Peculiar had brought the food to Emmanuel, but she wasn't there with them. It was Emmanuel, his current girlfriend, his brother, and his brother's friend. And if you are familiar with Nigeria, you know that they have a lot of power challenges, power in terms of electricity. So most homes have generator sets. Now, fast forward to the morning after they ate this food. These four people didn't come out of the room, and residents got concerned and eventually decided to find out why these guys have kept so long in the room and you don't see any sign of life or hear any sign of life in the room. Only to find out after getting inside that these guys were just lying there, deceased. Now, initially, they thought that maybe they had passed on out of being contaminated by carbon monoxide because of the generator set that was being used in the house. Because in Nigeria, because most homes have generator sets, it's quite common that you would find such deaths happening caused by carbon monoxide as a result of the fumes from the generator set. But in this case, it didn't seem like the likely cause, because they had a generator set, all right, but it was far from the home. So there's no way they could have suffered carbon monoxide poisoning. So then that possibility was ticked off. And the next thing that came up eventually was the fact that the ex-girlfriend called Peculiar had brought him some food. They call it pepper soup. For those of us in Africa, we are very familiar with what pepper soup is. But if you are watching from outside Africa, you don't know. Pepper soup is just soup with a lot of pepper, basically. So that was it. That allegedly this Peculiar girl had brought this guy pepper soup, and all four of them had also eaten. That is, this Emmanuel being the Peculiar girl's ex-boyfriend, then the Emmanuel's current girlfriend, and Emmanuel's brother and his brother's friend. So then that suspicion started coming up, because per how they were found, it also seemed similar to somebody who had passed on from food poisoning. Investigations are still ongoing. It hasn't been officially confirmed via autopsy that that is the root cause of their demise. But as it stands now, that is the allegation, and which has allegedly led to the arrest of this Peculiar kid called Peculiar. And the whole thing is very weird, because we've all been teenagers before. But I don't think most teenagers during my time would have been capable of even being suspected to have done this. But that is where we find ourselves in 2024, where the young ones of today are even more capable at more good and sometimes even more evil than the grown-ups of today. Now, another advice I would give: if you end a relationship, I would always advise that it's best you leave it there. Don't try going back to establish some form of contact with an ex, because maybe you might have even ended the relationship on a good note. But jealousy abounds in everybody, and it can be triggered by anything depending on the person you are dealing with. To the point that, assuming it turns out that the allegation against Peculiar is true, that she is responsible and that it was via food poisoning, then it would have meant that the only mistake Emmanuel did was the fact that he decided to still eat food from a girl who was now his ex-girlfriend, and he now had a girlfriend, and his girlfriend was to eat that food from his ex-girlfriend with him. Just analyze it and imagine some way, somehow, the ex-girlfriend got jealous seeing her ex-boyfriend with his new girlfriend. Imagine how that would go within the person. You open yourself up for so much risk. How much is food? In fact, you being Emmanuel, I believe your current girlfriend could have even cooked that same food for you and save yourself some peace. Don't sit around and think that because everybody is smiling, nobody is capable of evil. That is another mistake people make. Most often, the most daring and disgusting and dastardly things are done by regular people living among us. It's a matter of what the situation is and what triggers the person and how the situation escalates. That is all it is. Personally, I believe that anybody, or most people, if not all, are capable of anything. It's just a matter of how you deal with them. Because everybody, I believe, is triggered by something. So if you are in an unfortunate situation of being the one triggering it, then you better de-escalate it fast so that you don't find out the hard way how far these people can go. And like I said earlier, I think that is the skill that most people need to learn. It's very important. Respect for all, disrespect for none. Respecting people's emotions when you offend it. Don't try to belittle what somebody is feeling because you think it's nothing. You will find out the hard way that is everything to that person. It is very, very important. It's very, very important. And if you agree with me, you can let me know in the comment section. If you don't, you can let me know. But hey, please subscribe to this channel. Help us grow. At least help us hit 3K before the end of this year. Come on. We've served you so well and we've educated you so well. What I try to do is I don't just bring you the true crime case. I try to practicalize it by giving you advice on how to avoid it in case you are coming into a situation where it could easily escalate into becoming a true crime situation. You would have the skill to avoid it. You have the wisdom and intelligence to escape it. It's very important because, like I said, I believe that most, if not all people, are capable of a lot of things. It's just a matter of how you handle their emotions. Because every person is emotional. Even those who try not to be emotional can be emotional depending on what is important to them. If you don't believe me, look at how the most calm and gentle, seemingly gentle person reacts when something is being attempted against his or her family. You would see that the person would lose him or herself and go berserk. Yeah, that is it. Everybody has something that is dear to them, and they will go all out and cross all lines to protect it or defend it or ward off anybody trying to tarnish it. Don't be that person being the one venturing to go and create it. So that is the 2 cents I have on this case. I'm still following it. Like I said, it's a developing case. So as and when there are updates, I'm following and I'll bring them to you. Thank you for watching the video. Watch our other videos. I'll catch you on the next one. Stay safe out there. Respect for everybody, disrespect for none. Peace.